So, Denver to Electric Boogaloo.
I'm canceling Denver.
Good, you should. Denver is, as previously discussed, a heinous and terrible city.
Real.
I feel like we didn't give it too much hate last episode, but this is where it's going to really kick up a bit.
Yeah, we're going to shift into Denver hating gear specifically, which is right next to reverse.
Is that the gear they put the locomotive in on the way through?
What locomotive?
The Amtrak.
Do locomotives have gears? I don't know if they do.
No, because they have generators, and the generators power electric motors. Which
Okay, but
don't
what
need
if
gears.
you had like one that was just like straight diesel?
Those don't exist anymore?
That's true, except on Metra.
Fucking hell. Probably somehow. It would make sense that it's right next to reverse, because they've got to reverse the Amtrak locomotive to get in and out of Union Station.
So maybe that's the Denver hating gear.
Reverse.
Reverse.
You back into the city so you never have to look
Beep,
at
beep, beep.
And so you can
beep.
critically, so you can get out fast.
it. Yeah.
Always back in.
Got to
Well-
escape.
Yeah, if you left angry comments on the last episode, get ready to type today.
Yeah.
And also redacted.
Beep.
Exciting.
Beep your beep and the beep you wrote in on.
Okay, we got to do the news, so we've got like some padding, because I've heard through the grapevine that YouTube doesn't like it when you swear in the first like however many minutes of the video. So let's get those minutes over so we can be angry about Denver.
I
Okay.
didn't swear at all. I have not said a singular swear word.
Beep beep.
I
Beep.
guess.
You just got to fill in your head what I said right there.
I was honking a horn. I wasn't swearing.
Sure. Let's do a podcast.
True. Welcome to the internet. Live from a 9-hour bus ride between Brigham City and Santaquin, this is the Red Line Podcast. I'm your host, quote, off-brand miles in transit, unquote, Dunstan, and these are my co-hosts.
Kyle, quote, 24-hour bike ride between Brigham City and Santaquin, close quote, Holland, and...
Alex, quote, if it floats, it's a boat, unquote, Fielder. Today, we're returning to Denver to talk about FasTracks, the city's ill-fated plan to revolutionize the way people get from the Front Range and around it. All this after the news.
I think that instead of... I liked what Alex said more, get from the Front Range, and what it should have actually been is just like a singular, extremely high-capacity metro line going all the way to somewhere better than Denver. So that the
Cool.
entire population can get out in short order.
extend one of the light rails to Canada.
I don't know, Canada doesn't sound like it's doing too hot right now.
This is relative to Denver, remember?
Do you have a cold? Would you like to die?
To people listening to this in 2030, things are better now. Come back, help. Could you boat from Brigham City to Santaquin? Like, could you go launch in like the Williard Bay, go through the entire Salt Lake, go the wrong way up the entire Jordan River, including over at least one dam, go
that's
through
what
all
a
of Utah
portage is
Lake?
for.
What's a portage?
A portage is when you carry a boat over the land to pass a
Oh,
waterfall.
so you could go from Brigham City to Santaquin.
I think it would be easier to go in the opposite direction, but yes.
Oh, definitely,
mostly.
because that's where the water goes. But that's not the line.
I mean, you could also do my trip in the other direction. It would probably actually be... No, it wouldn't be easier. I mean, it could be easier, potentially.
You have not computed yet.
No, because I don't want to drive to Santaquin. That's a lot longer drive than to Brigham City.
Why we gotta drive to Brigham City?
Because I'm not going to stay the night
To get to the bus early enough?
to get the bus early enough.
Oh.
Because after you get to Santaquin at 3 or 4 o'clock,
You gotta get the hell out.
you have to walk up to Payson, which is like 5-6 miles, to get
Yeah.
the 822. And I would really like to have some padding there, so I don't miss the last bus, which is at like 7:30 or something.
Yeah, no, that's
worst,
fair.
Worst case, you stay like a couple hours and get the Amtrak.
I guess that's true.
This is so stupid.
Yeah, well, you shut up.
All
Make
right.
the news noise.
Do 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 do.
Spicy. So, it looks like America's subway might be looking into a rather un-American piece of transit technology. WMATA has put out a call for vendors to provide bids for platform screen doors on 2 Red Line stations, one above ground and the other in a subway. Regardless of the results of the RFI, it's good to see that WMATA continues to be one of the nation's most forward-looking agencies. Let's go, Randy.
How compatible would those be with their train automation systems? Do they have automated trains? A la Bart?
I think they do. I don't know if they use it that much, but I think they do. So
Yeah. Because the usual issue with platform screen doors, right, is being able to stop the train predictably and having all your train cars having the doors in the same spot. So if the train already does that, then, good first step.
W. Yeah, I think it would be fine. If they're planning to do it, then it can't be impossible, right? Yeah.
It must be good. I don't know. We'll report back later.
Probably much later.
Well, anything's possible with enough money, which is what concerns me.
Oh, it can't be that expensive. I mean, I know New York said it would be like $20 billion or whatever, but that's New York, and everything costs $20 billion in New York.
Well, and also New York has like 50 different subways in a trench coat. WMATA has one.
Well, 2 different subways in a trench coat, really. Because there's
technically yes,
the
but those
IND
two
and
those 2 subways are like decades of glue already, right?
This is correct. Other news. I saw today that New York City subway crime is now below 2019, so anyone who is still fear-mongering about that is an idiot.
Oh, it must have been those random bag checks. That solved everything.
I don't think it was that.
No, I don't think it was that either.
Like, gates they installed? The fare gates?
I think that probably helped, but they haven't done as much of that as other places have.
Is it broader societal patterns?
No, it's probably the cops, because they have cops in like every station or something now, and a lot of them, and as it turns out, having transit employees, regardless of law enforcement status, in a place helps reduce crime incidents. Wow.
What? No way.
So, anyway, this has been the news.
Do.
So, does anybody remember where we left off last week? And don't read it off.
I've been pushing Denver out of my brain as hard as possible.
Yeah, same here.
I literally don't remember.
You literally don't. Wow.
There's potential that some viewers might not either, so why don't you enlighten us?
Shocking. Almost as though I anticipated this. So,
Yeah, get on with it.
as you may recall from last week, we were just talking about sort of the institution of the Denver light rail system. The first line opened in 94 with some expansions into, the early 2000s. But the most important thing that we talked about last week was a little referendum passed in 2004 by the name of FasTracks, spelled FasTracks.
They got money.
They
I
did
don't know.
get
What do they
money.
do with the money? Was this the light rail or the regional rail money?
Yes.
Both?
And also BRT and some other things.
Jeez.
Bougie. They're really doing everything at once. What is this, Seattle?
So, yeah, this is kind of like an ST, a Sound Transit, whatever.
STD.
Sound Transit 1, 2, 3. No, not the Sacramento
Oh, that's
Transit
wrong
District.
agency. Sorry, wrong
Yeah.
ass. They don't have any STDs up in Seattle. They have sex out
none.
there instead.
0.
I don't know. I feel like the gum wall might have given a few people an STD by accident.
Wouldn't that be a GTD if it's gum transmitted?
They should hire us to teach in Utah high schools. They might be more qualified.
For sex ed, certainly.
Yeah, I think so.
So, FasTracks was huge, and I really mean it when I say that.
So they should call it huge tracks.
Huge tracks. These are the biggest tracks we've ever seen. Some people
The
say, many
broadest
people are
gauge.
saying this. People are saying this about FasTracks. FasTracks, very huge. They don't make tracks like FasTracks in Mexico, no sir.
You nailed it.
You just wait till we do like a
you should
Mexico
hear-
City episode or something.
You should hear my impression of Donald Trump after the shooting, because I came up with the funniest thing. I was sitting with my grandparents in the living room watching the whole thing unfold on live
Ooh.
TV, which is like very much an anachronism at this point.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what they say about me, folks. Donald Trump, I'm the best at surviving shootings. The best of any president ever. These shooters they have these days, they're not like the shooters we used to have. Folks are shooters. We need to make them better. I survived the shooting much better.
I think that's pretty close to what he said, just with a bit more like God and a blessing thrown in there.
Oh, it was kind of funny how like he was like, "Oh, God saved me from the shooting." Well, apparently God really didn't like the guy behind you.
Oh my God.
Hey, you said the line.
So anyway, rest in peace to that guy.
Yeah. Right.
So the initial that was a big tangent.
News item number 3, let's call it.
The initial FasTracks program was expected to cost $4.7 billion and build 122 miles of new rail transit, including extensions to the existing light rail system and an entirely new system of electrified commuter rail.
$40 million a mile. That's quite good.
Is this
Yeah.
4.7 billion in 2004 dollars?
Yeah, in 2004
Oh,
dollars.
crap.
So
Oh wow.
crap, I really need to inflation calculate these things beforehand.
You should put just in parentheses like whatever year it is.
That's true.
4.7 billion.
That's
It's
gotta be
7.8 billion today.
Yikes.
Man, 2004 really was like 12 years ago, wasn't it? 20,
It
30,
was,
40?
It was 18 years ago?
2004 was 20 years ago,
Yeah,
guys.
20 years ago.
Bruh. Anyway, $64 million a mile.
Quite respectable still.
Yeah.
Key among these lines, and we'll get to this later about how this is the most disappointing part of the whole thing. But anyway, was the B line, which was to run between downtown Denver and the affluent college town of Boulder, as well as farther
B
to the
line?
north
I
in
love that.
Longmont.
Yeah, B for
Yeah,
base.
because it's for Boulder.
Oh,
yeah, that too.
based boulder bicycle. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true. This route was so important that it would actually get a new rapid bus line, eventually to be called the Flatiron Flyer, which is, I will admit, quite a cool name for a BRT route.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Above and beyond all the new rail infrastructure, it would also renovate Denver's Union Station and provide a catalyst for the redevelopment of the northern section of Denver's downtown. In other words, it's a real humdinger of a project.
Wait, so
And-
they folded Union Station into this big project.
That is correct. Union Station was part of this project.
Okay,
That I did
that's
not know.
pretty
The
good,
sheer
though.
ambition there is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the voters approved the whole thing with 58% of the vote, which is a fairly stunning win for transit, I would say.
That'd be a California loss.
It's... I think we should start measuring everything and whether it's a California W or L.
Bloody hell.
This is probably why transit in like... This is like at least a third of the problem with California.
Yeah. California.
California, that's right. Every
The
vote,
communists and their 60% majorities.
every vote in California be like, good thing, 59.999%. Evil thing, 41 or 40.00001%. evil thing wins.
Oh, too real. Wait, maybe they should flip around all the votes, right? Like, would you like
only have to
to
get
not
40%
fund
for
the
a majority.
transit project? Yeah.
And it gets like 58%, yeah.
I wish that was how that works.
So this project is kind of almost incomprehensibly big. It dwarfs in potential scale even very like ambitious programs like the previously mentioned Sound Transit initiatives or even the massive UTA Frontlines project of a few years ago. So it's big, right? And I have a little map down here that we can't put on the screen, but you guys will get to enjoy it of just like everything that is.
We got to paint a word picture.
Yeah. So there's this map here, and everything that is not blue was FasTracks, and that's like 3/4 of the thing.
Wow.
Damn.
I'm glad this project did happen, and Denver is a great
And
city.
went well.
Yeah.
And was not. There were no problems in any way.
Yeah. Thank God for that.
So, FasTracks was expected to take 12 years to complete, with its ambitious program set to be completed sometime in 2017.
You are foreshadowing so hard with this past tense.
Well, I think there was, one FasTracks line open by 2017?
Oh,
no, 2.
So,
there were 3. Okay. There were 4.
So
Never mind.
incomparable
But
to
it wasn't-
Frontlines in other ways.
Yeah, in every possible way other than the sort of sheer scale of the thing, this is like much worse than Frontlines. But you might have noticed this. FasTracks is still yet to be completed. What are we,
Ouch.
7 years out from the expected completion date?
7 more years. 7 more years.
Well, a number of rather impressive expansions have been undertaken, and new lines have opened. The system is still incomplete. So, what exactly went wrong here? So, although engineering for the W line, which was a new light rail service running from downtown to the west, was begun in 2006, it would not open to the public until 2013. Why? As engineering continued to go on, the project began to expect an overrun of nearly $1.5 billion by 2007 and $1.8 billion just a few years later, which is a staggering overshoot of cost estimates and fuel for the fire of talk radio insanity in Colorado Springs.
Wow.
So did they actually check how much this project would cost before doing the estimate, or did they just figure it out after the fact?
Apparently not.
Because this sounds like...
Rio Grande Plan moment.
Yeah, I don't know if it is, but it sounds like it might be one of those things where they did the initial cost estimate based off of basically no design, and then they did some design, and they're like, shit.
Well, there was that, and I think that BNSF jacked up the prices on a lot of the railroads they needed to buy, which was not helpful.
Of course they did.
Like the railway line for the Boulder train that they wanted to buy off of BNSF had been listed at like $66 million. And by the time they wanted to go and actually buy it, BNSF was like, oh, actually, this is going to cost you, I don't know, $500 million.
Since you need it, and you have no choice but to give us the money. Yeah, no, that alone would be a huge contribution.
Now,
They should be like
that
UTA and sneakily buy up corridor decades before even planning on using it.
well, I noticed you said 1.5 billion by 2007. Now, 2007.
Is 2
That was
years
like
later,
8 years
so there's
ago.
not much inflation.
Yeah, but 2007.
Oh, shit.
A good
Oh,
year.
shit.
A good
Yeah.
year to be doing
I
anything
missed
in the
that.
United States of America.
A good year to
Oh, no.
already have a cost overrun.
Yeah, so listeners who are of, a similar age to me may be familiar with the Great Recession as the time when your entire life fell apart. And that happened. There was this whole thing. It was bad. We actually talked about this in Sacramento, too. This may be becoming a theme.
The new theme.
But yeah, the Great Recession hit in 2008, leaving the program's vitally important sales tax revenue high and dry. There was now expected to be a $2.5 billion shortfall, meaning that the problem had gotten even more expensive and now had less money.
Ooh.
Oof.
Ooh.
So, like, I don't know, that's like a $4 billion, like, gap in funding all of a sudden, basically.
Ooh.
Jeez.
Chasm.
Makes you wish someone did like a New Deal program where it's like, oh, we'll make good paying jobs if you do fast track.
Yeah, or if Al Gore had won. We wouldn't have had the recession if Al Gore had won, and that is my official stance. We
And the
also
internet
wouldn't
would
have
have been
climate
twice as good.
change, and the internet would have been twice as good. I mean, it would have been great to have the guy who invented the internet as president. So,
I know, we could afford to make the Blue Line podcast.
So true.
I think the reason that we chose not to do the Blue Line podcast is because that has some weird implications.
Yeah, I think people might have been disappointed about the political leanings of this podcast if it was a blue line.
Which are sort of decisively, I don't know, I would say liberal. I don't know what y'all identify as, but what are your political pronouns?
Well, we talk about providing social goods, so...
I would say overall, that is... Yeah, that's
Yep.
it.
We can't talk about solving social problems with money without being a little liberal. A lot.
without being a little bit woke. Yeah.
Yeah, just a bit.
Still, though, some construction managed to go ahead, and as previously mentioned, the W line opened in 2013.
What a W for the greater Denver metropolitan area.
Was it?
What?
We'll find out.
2013 was only 5 years ago, so...
Kyle, stop.
It feels like it, okay?
Stop spreading misinformation on the podcast. This is my job.
I'm just manifesting, okay?
That's more than 10 years ago now. Oh geez, that doesn't
Fuck.
feel like 10 years ago,
Yeah,
does it?
I
No, it
told
doesn't.
you. 5, maybe 7.
Oh gosh. So a new Union station opened the following year with 5 platforms for the new commuter rail system and Amtrak trains, and 3 platforms for the light rail lines that would run to the new hub, as well as a 22-stall underground bus garage.
Which, having been there, I can tell you is very cool.
Wait, you've been there now?
Well, I went to Union Station on the Amtrak, right? And they got like an hour layover.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And I'd
I
made
can
decent enough
corroborate
friends
that.
with my seatmate that I knew where they were going next, and they like left a phone charger or something behind, so I ran down to the bus garage to go give it to them, and I got to see it on the way, and it was very, very nice, very pleasant.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Would you say it is it better or worse than the bus subway in Boise?
I've never been to the bus subway in Boise, but I think the Denver one's pretty hard to beat.
We really need to get
Yeah.
like,
I
a little
haven't...
podcast trip.
Yeah, I haven't seen the
Yeah.
bus subway in Boise, but I would say it beats it 10 times over.
Wow. Shocking opinions here on the Red Line
I know.
podcast.
Yes, saying something good about Denver isn't easy. Luckily,
there
it's
are
being compared to Boise.
Which, I don't know. The bus subway in Boise, I think, is much smaller, is its main drawback. I think it only has 12 stalls, so,
Ooh.
yeah, disappointing. There are also shops, restaurants, and a 122-room hotel in Union Station. So, fairly cool. So in 2016, we're finally kind of getting things rolling here, 1 year before the whole thing is supposed to be done. The Flatiron Flyer began rapid bus service between Boulder and downtown Denver. It remains the only rapid connection between the two cities.
Fucking
Ooh.
BNSF. And the recession.
And RTD, to be honest with you, but we'll get into that a
Our
little
cancel
later.
hit list is growing.
It is really. I'm gonna tweet this out. Current cancel list.
Hit list.
Yeah.
Here,
All
while
right.
you
So we
tweet
have
that,
who? RTD,
First BNSF.
Yeah, RTD,
BNSF,
Union Pacific,
Union Pacific,
or Union Pathetic if you want to get political.
the the Great Recession,
George Bush.
RTD. Which one?
Junior.
George W. Bush.
He won over Gore, right?
Yeah, he beat Al Gore.
Yeah, so he's on the list.
fucking butterfly ballots. Was that one?
Oh yeah. Current episode. I'm an Al Gore election truther.
Here, I'm gonna go grab an ice pack for my computer real quick.
Poor Alex.
Oh,
Poor
gosh.
Alex. We're having baked
Living-
Alex for breakfast tomorrow.
Man, we gotta get him better air conditioning.
We gotta get
Okay.
him like Linus Tech Tips external water cooling. Dumps the heat from his computer
Denver.
outside.
Who else are we canceling here?
Um,
Oh, the RTD R line, which we'll get to in a minute. There we go.
Great.
okay.
Good hit list.
Ah,
I'm happy with that.
good hit list.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thermal issues should be solved? Question mark.
The computers or yours?
Mine won't be solved until winter, so
Oh.
Oh gosh. The same year, the RTD's first and coolest electric commuter rail line opened. The A line now runs between the immensely important Denver International Airport to the east and Union Station.
The also weirdly far away airport.
I think, has any of us ridden this one?
I rode that one. Yeah, I rode the A line, and whatever one goes like as far south as possible.
That's either like, I don't know any of the line names. They're letters, which is against God. So
Yeah. Letters are next on the list.
that's what? Oh yeah, that's why I'll be defending it on the letters and numbers episode. Yeah. So, 2016, big year for Denver people. Because the B line, which is a 6-mile commuter rail stub meant to form the beginning of the future line to Boulder and Longmont, also opened in 2016.
Aw, that whole stub.
I would recommend looking at a map of the Denver system just to sort of see how kind of silly it looks.
The children.
Viewers, participate.
Viewers participate, yeah.
I always forget how
27
far east Denver is.
Yeah, it's a long ways away.
Oh, it's so cute.
It is cute. It's just
It
a little
goes to
baby.
fake Berkeley.
Does it? I thought it goes to Westminster. Are you looking at the right thing, Kyle?
Well, before Westminster is fake Berkeley.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha. Is it fake
This
Berkeley or
West-
was it Berkeley before Berkeley was Berkeley? Question mark.
I'm not gonna actually check.
Oh. It's spelled different anyways.
And do I look like a carrot? This station has an entire park.
It does.
Quick, park review.
There's water. That's a dub.
There's water, that's great. Needs time for landscaping.
Connected to transit.
Yeah, no shit.
There's a play park. It has good transit access. Although, I
True.
think you will both be heartbroken to learn how often this line runs.
5 out of 10. No splash pad.
It's hourly.
That's
No.
it. That's pretty good.
It's hourly, yeah. Oh, you were thinking it's peak hour only or something?
Yeah, or like twice a day. I'm assuming this yellow line runs much more often.
I think it runs every half hour.
The G.
The G.
See, that makes sense, because like that one actually goes more than one place.
Yeah, it runs every half hour. And then the purple one, which is what is that? The N, is it? Yeah, the N. That also runs every half hour. And then the A
Damn.
line runs every 15 minutes because it's the airport train, so it matters.
This
So-
stuff slaps.
I took the A and the E.
Oh, you took the E. The E goes to Longmont, is it?
It ends at Lone Tree.
Oh,
think.
okay.
I don't know. It ends at a really awful place.
It goes so far south. Like, it goes, like, outside the Beltway, which is crazy.
Yeah, I think it took like an hour and 5 minutes to get down there.
Long trip.
Yeah.
Also, like, a geographic constraint moment, because south of that point, there are just mountains. So, anyway, moving on. Hello?
Oh yeah. You're still on. I don't know where Kyle went.
Yeah, y'all are getting like vocoded. The bandwidth.
I think it must be my internet being crappy. I'll open the door. Let me try that.
The door is public enemy number 1.
Yeah,
I
put that
gotta
on the
add
hit
that
list.
to the shit list.
Your door.
Okay. I don't think
My
we've even
door.
finished the expansion list. We're still stuck in 2016, which was, by the
We
way,
are still
only
stuck
3
in
years ago.
2016.
It was a good year too.
20. I don't think it was.
Well, most of it
27
anyways.
That was when Donald Trump was inaugurated.
Like I
2017 would see the opening of the system's first and only
Wouldn't he
circumferential.
be inaugurated in 2017? Like beginning
Yeah.
of 2017?
No, in the beginning
So
of
therefore-
2017. That's what I said.
Well, and I said 2016 was a good year.
Oh, okay. I'm stupid. Never mind.
Thank you.
We did get Pokemon Go to the polls in 2016, which was pretty cool.
That was good.
So 2017 would see the opening of the system's first and only circumferential expansion.
A circle.
I know, with the R line running through Aurora to meet with the A line at Peoria Station.
This
the
is not a very
G-line-
circular line. Just looking
Well,
at the map.
but it is technically circumferential, is it not?
Technically, yes. In spirit, it's trying its hardest. What the fuck is this alignment?
We'll get to that in a moment.
Okay.
The G line would begin running following. The G line would begin running in 2019, followed by the first stage of the N line in 2020, and then light rail trains on the EFR, which is the part that Alex rode, were also extended to the southeast in 2019, and the downtown loop was reconfigured, essentially creating the system that we have today.
Woo.
Woo, party. Yeah. So, what is wrong with this system? What went wrong?
A
What are
number of
all
things.
the horrible sort of gripes that I have about the RTD's rail system?
In positive news, Florida Station is very cute. They've got this cute, like, center tail track.
Wait, where's that?
It's where the blue line ends on the yellow line. I'm gonna continue miscoloring these because that's what they look like on the map.
There are 2 blue lines, Kyle. There are 3 blue
Fuck.
lines.
They're so bad at this. They should
Uh,
get better at colors.
I will
The
say
H line, where the H line ends on the when it's interlined with the R line.
Oh, okay.
the R line when it goes around the whole mall with like 4 sharp turns, that's not very good.
No,
we'll
or
talk
the,
about
like,
that.
Other bunch of weird places that it makes strange noises. So
It could
number
just go in
1.
a straight goddamn line for 2 seconds.
Yes. What is wrong? What went wrong? Most of this is funding shortfalls. Basically derailed the entire project. If things had gone to plan, everything would be built by now, and I think Denver would be a lot better off for it.
Yeah. Also, derail. Haha, good one. Speaking of,
Yeah. The other issue is that there is not great planning on a lot of RTD lines, especially light rail. The most obvious of these being, I think, the R line, which has the most kind of like insane possible alignment. Would you say that that's a fair assessment?
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
I didn't even notice you put this in the script.
Like, build one concrete structure. Just one.
Yeah. So what you'll notice if you look at it on a map is it goes around all of these interchanges
instead
for
of
no
over
reason.
them.
Or under them, even. At one point, to avoid, messing with a mall's frontage road, it makes a giant square with 4 hard turns because reasons, I guess.
Which is... And you could have served the mall probably better by staying on the straight-through alignment.
And then just a little bit north of that, it goes around an interchange again. And then a little bit to the north of that, it makes a hard turn so that it can go under the freeway and make another hard turn to continue going in the same direction.
Like, my dude, this is how you build a fucking bicycle path, not a light rail line. The light rail line gets the low-angle flyover. Or probably box cut tunnel.
Yeah. And the worst part is, so I'm going to draw your attention to Fitzsimmons medical area and Fitzsimmons station, which you will notice if you are to look at Fitzsimmons station is not particularly close to the thing it is named after, which is one of the country's largest and most important research hospitals.
Oh, I was going to say I accidentally pulled up the hospital.
Yeah, just go to the north of it and you'll find a station out in the middle of a dirt field that is called Fitzsimmons Station.
It has a pond.
Yeah, which is great. But this station was not meant to be there. It was meant to be kind of in the heart of the campus of Fitzsimmons medical thing.
That would make sense.
Huh. And what happened?
Well, so trains make small vibrations, right?
Quite small, actually, especially for light rail trains.
Right. So the people at Fitzsimmons decided that because it would cost a little bit to isolate the train so that it wouldn't mess with sensitive medical equipment, which I don't know that it would have in the first place, but that's sort of irrelevant. They needed to move it a half mile to the north so that it would be completely useless. RTD was planning on spending $60 million in mitigation for this, and I would point out to them the fact that our world-class research hospital at the University of Utah has a light rail train going right through the middle of it, and no one has ever kicked up a fuss about it as far as I'm aware.
No, because we like our train. It sounds like they hate their train, and that they don't want it to succeed.
So they have kind of this completely useless station at what should be like a very important ridership generator. Not great.
See,
our line stays losing.
If you had it going through the research hospital, you could make a blood drive train and just get like a whole bunch of people and put them on the train and be like, blood drive.
That'd be quite something, wouldn't it?
Well, and they were going to spend, I kid you not, $60 million creating like isolation between the train and the ground so that the vibrations wouldn't cause any problems.
And this is all ready to go, and they just said no.
And they're just like, let's just stick it way up to the north in the middle of nowhere instead. This will cause no problems.
Completely useless.
Me when I hate my hospital employees and their well-being.
This is true.
And patients.
I do hate hospital employees. Yeah, and patients. Like, they should have to walk a half mile.
Useless.
So.
Useless.
Not great. Other issues. W-line cost cutting. As it turns out, the W-line does not take many W's. Because about, I don't know, I don't want to say half of it, but something like half of it is single-tracked.
What the hell? Which color is this one?
It is blue. It's the one that goes to the west.
Ah, so the west end of the airport one?
those are not an interlined system, Kyle.
Are they two slightly different shades of blue? They are two slightly different shades
They
of
are
blue.
two
Fuck
slightly
you,
different
Denver.
shades of blue. This is why they use
you,
letters
Denver.
instead of colors, Kyle.
Get real colors.
Is this the one
Anyway,
that...
So
The W line.
Yeah.
it is partially single-tracked, which means that half of it only runs at 30-minute frequency. It also has, as you will notice, a giant, like, I don't know how to describe it except for deviation.
Yeah. This is like a fucking bus deviation. That's what it looks like.
To serve a hospital. Like, they did a bus deviation on a train.
And, dude, I don't even know. And it's not
Which
even
is
good.
fairly-
It's like a bunch of hard turns.
And also a parking lot next to a hospital. So, I mean, at
Like
least with this one, they actually served the hospital, but still.
Well, if they wanted to do this deviation, here's what they should have done. They should have swung down from whatever that mall is, right, on the east side. Go next to the actual hospital, go through this neighborhood, go next to the community college, and then gradually rejoin that median alignment.
Either that, or they should have, like, ducked into a subway, because there's all these... the station is called Federal because there's all these buildings off to the east of it that are, like, fairly important, like, federal office buildings. Like, the
Good thing to have
USGS
a
is
train,
there,
too.
the FDA is there, and so I don't know. This seems like a poor decision. Also, you will notice that the W line is called the W Golden. It does not actually go to Golden or to the super important trip generator in Golden called the Colorado School of Mines. The same could be said for the G line, which is even more egregious in this regard because the right-of-way is already there, straight to downtown Golden, and it just doesn't go there.
These are both so close to Golden.
Well, was the RTD...
And again...
Well, was the FasTracks system laid out before or after they legalized recreational marijuana use?
I think it was laid out before, which makes it much worse.
Okay. I was hoping to give him a bone, but I guess not.
So I think that there should have been a little more emphasis on that, especially since that is a fairly large college and could probably generate some decent ridership.
And it's a very logical end, being on the geographic west and being a good trip generator for both of those lines.
And instead
very good anchor.
It stops next to a courthouse.
Well, I would
Riveting.
say more important than getting to Golden is getting to the Coors factory.
Where's that?
It's
it doesn't go to the Coors factory, does it?
No, but if you expanded the orange line, the G line, it would go right past the Coors factory.
Like,
Perfect.
this could be the beer train.
Exactly. And it's G, golden, and, like, that's the color of the beer.
Oh, so true, Alex.
So I'm just thinking in a higher dimension.
Yeah, real.
That clearly than RTD. I think the most glaring issue, though, is not the sort of silly manner in which they built several of their lines. Not to mention the fact that there is no through running, which is a whole nother issue. It is the fact that they didn't build the most important line.
Which one's that?
The
The
B line
Boulder.
to Boulder and Longmont.
Oh, fuck.
Which are... They just did... They haven't built it yet.
Bruh.
And this was the one that was sort of projected to get the highest ridership. It also serves another massive university.
Crazy.
It was kind of along one of the most congested freeway corridors of the whole state. And they're just like,
Oh,
we won't
my
do that
Denver.
one. Or they didn't have the money to do that one. And now it seems like the RTD actually just wants to get rid of it in favor of just doing the Flatiron Flyer forever.
That's not good
No.
for a number of reasons.
Especially since all of these, taxpayers up here have been paying the bill on this thing for,
Ever.
what is it, like 30 years now?
I thought it was 2004.
Like 20 years now?
2004 was 30 years ago, yeah.
20.
they just lost all ambition, didn't they? Well, and
They
the money
did.
didn't help, but
And the
And
money.
they're
And the
broke.
it feels
money.
like they
And they're
kind of gave
extremely
up.
broke. So yeah, if they actually do end up finishing Frontlines, the program is now not expected to be completed until at least 2050 because their debt
what the
burden is
fuck?
so
Not
high.
not front lines, not front lines.
Front range? Front...
Oh, did I
Oh,
say-
FasTracks.
Yeah, you
FasTracks,
said
yeah.
front lines.
It's potato, except ours was successful.
Yeah.
No, but FasTrack isn't meant to be completed until 2050 at this point because their debt burden is so high. And that sort of means that there will be no other expansions other than the Frontlines ones forever.
Why is this
basically.
RTD's problem? Why can't, like, the state of Colorado being, like, blue or whatever just fix it?
Because the perception among the public, and it is not an entirely incorrect perception, is that RTD has sort of massively mismanaged the whole thing, and so no one trusts them anymore,
Great.
including the state government.
Fucking
Versus
hell.
UTA, who people generally trust to be like, fine, I guess. Now that we got over our little corruption scandal thing.
Yeah, by fucking up the whole board, but that's another episode.
I have no opinions on the UTA Board of Trustees. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
We'll see everybody on Patreon.
So, also, the entirety of the RTD appears to be melting down for a number of reasons, which isn't great.
Great.
Even before the pandemic, they were having frequent service cuts. They were getting rid of, lines, because they used to have kind of like an everywhere to everywhere sort of deal on their light rail system. They kind of got rid of that. They have very poor bus service, and it's gotten worse. They have a super big drug use problem on their trains. So Denver.
Canceled.
I have a bit of pros and cons situation here that we're going to go through.
Get a little recap.
Before we discuss. Yeah. So, the good of Denver, a very extensive rail system with that is built for high frequency service. There's a great airport line.
And has a lot of low-hanging fruit potential expansions for high ridership
does.
gain.
It does.
The lines
there's a
that
great
normal people build first, Denver builds last. They're so ahead of the
Well,
game.
like I said, it's the most American transit agency, which we'll talk about in a moment.
Oh.
It has a great airport line. It's consolidated across the metro area, and there was, at least in the past, a real willingness to think big. Any further pros?
No.
Union Station.
It's all
Union Station's nice.
and it's all electric.
That's cool.
That's very cool.
Like, our big kneecap right now is diesel, right? Like, having
Is
electric
diesel on
is cool.
Frontrunner. Yeah. So the bad, which is a much longer list. There is horrendous land use at basically all of its stations and silly lines. Half of the stations on the system are in freeway medians, and the other half are in the middle of nowhere with massive park and rides. Even those that should be in good places have been forced to be moved by external circumstances. Cough, cough, Fitzsimmons.
The station siding is so bad. And, like, the lines wiggle and squiggle and turn everywhere. But not necessarily to put the stations anywhere good. Just
Yeah.
because.
And then there's, if you go out on some of the A-line stations that are like the airport commuter rail stations, there's just a ton of them. They're just kind of surrounded by fields.
That's hilarious.
So that's not ideal. I think the most egregious example is probably 61st and Peña, which has literally nothing. So
Were they just putting stations for fun?
a park and ride. We're going to have a park and ride system. That's the most important thing.
Hey, it has a Hyatt. And a solar
Great.
farm.
Awesome.
And apartments
Just what we
fucking somehow?
needed.
Why are we doing TOD here? What year is it? I'm canceling someone.
Problem number 2, meltdown. Very poor frequency on most of the RTD system right now, especially on the light rail. They have, at the moment, reduced some light rail lines to 60-minute frequency.
60 minutes? Oh, I thought 30 was piss-ass unusable shit.
Oh, well, it was 30 until recently, so
60!
hooray.
Isn't it 60 for, like, maintenance for no good reason?
Yes, it is 60 for maintenance for no good reason because there's plenty of capacity to just run all the trains to Union Station, but because the downtown loop is closed at the moment, they're like, well, we gotta run those lines at 60 minutes for reasons, trademark.
Might as well just get walking.
Pretty much. Bus service. For a massive suburban network, there is a real paucity of good suburban bus service, or even urban bus service for that matter, with the exception of Colfax Avenue, which is actually pretty exceptional. Frequencies are generally not very good, and there are basically no feeder buses. So, you have no there are 2 ways to succeed with a transit system. You have good land use, New York City, or you have good feeder buses, Toronto. Denver has decided to do neither.
Fucking hell.
Like, you think our feeder bus situation is bad?
But there's 2 apartments at this one commuter rail system.
Yeah, that'll solve the problem.
Yeah, maybe 3 apartments at a different station.
Ooh, big brain. Also, as we previously mentioned, the reported safety issues, apparently some severe state of good repair issues since they're having to shut down the entire downtown loop for however long.
What, did they just build all of this and forget about it? I guess they have no money,
guess.
so obviously that means deferred maintenance.
There's no through running. They really should have built the W as a regional rail line and run the A line through onto it, but that's sort of a secondary concern in my view.
Wasn't Union Station like a massive new build project? Why is there not...
Right, and then they
through-running?
built it as a terminal-only platform station. There are only terminal platforms at Union Station.
That's
there are no through
why.
platforms.
What compelling geographic reason is there for this? I'm waiting.
Yeah, that's all you're
Waiting.
gonna get. They
Still
would have had to
waiting.
build a very short section of underground track.
Oh, that would
So I guess
probably
that-
kill them. Heat death of the universe and all that.
It
really
probably
accelerate
would kill
that.
them, honestly.
Given that they
It
can't
might
make it around a
actually.
fucking freeway interchange, this might actually end them.
Well, I mean, what they should have done is had it through run on the street and make like 10 hard turns, and that would be very in character for them.
What is this, LA?
Yes. So why do I say it's the most American transit system? Because it is. It's so American. It has all of the American problems. It has sort of taken all of the bad practices that Americans love to do and combined them all together to a somewhat difficult result. Now, that's not to say that there isn't room for success here. You figure out the debt problem, you run a bunch of feeder buses, you build the stupid B line, and you have a really good system. But until such a time as that, you have a lot of problems. So, that's Denver.
I guess,
Any closing thoughts?
No.
No, that is Denver.
I do like that there is a transit accessible water park on the system. Oh, no,
Cool.
there's not. Never mind. That's a lie because there's no station there.
When we get
Bruh.
the B line, I think it'll be accessible, right?
Yup.
In 2037.
Something like that.
2047.
No, in 2050.
2069.
Yeah. 2084. Yeah. So it's a little depressing, really, because with the amount of effort that has been poured into building like this sort of very large, very rapid system, you would hope that there is a better outcome than this, and it's just not. It hasn't worked out this time.
They've done like everything wrong. It's almost impressive.
They have kind of done everything wrong. As far as extensions that I think they actually should build, I think I've said build the B line like 10 times now, but that is really a winner line, I think. That could kind of be their front runner.
Man, the one's out to Golden.
And both of those lines should be extended to Golden.
Yep.
And I think kind of a sleeper W potential could be like continuing the R line's role and building like a true circumferential line. I don't know how you do that, but I think it's possible. So,
Well, and
Maybe
then
straighten out the existing R line a bit.
and then build a commuter rail from Fort Collins to Colorado Springs.
Well,
Interesting.
interesting.
That's a pretty good idea. I wonder if
I
anybody
guess
saw
you'll
that
have
before.
to come back on Patreon for episode 3 of Denver, where we discuss the Front Range train corridor thing that they're going to build on Amtrak.
Huh.
And speaking of patrons, we better do our episode conclusion so we can tell you all about them.
So true. So please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and to follow and leave us a rating on iTunes and /or Spotify. If you like what we do here, please consider becoming a member on Patreon. Patrons receive early access to all of our regular content, as well as exclusive episodes and occasional merch drops. Speaking of patrons, at RTD If It Was Good tier, Zach Adams, $69.69 per month. At Frontrunner, or Front Range tier, let's say this time, we have Curtis Herring, Devin Zander, Isaac Madsen, Phobos2390, and Tony Stunts.
At $5 a month, the RTD system, if it had the B line, we have Brian Smith, Christopher Whaley, DJ
Hi, Will.
Watkins, Elijah Kinsler, G4, Jacob Whitecotton, Jesse Mayo, Reluctant LA Resident, and Robert P. Walsh.
At all 3 blue lines simultaneously tier, $3 a month, we have Alex Dykelski, Alice MYOB, Ben Busath, Bradley Bondi, Ethan McDonald, Evelyn, Gavin Grotegut, Gonzo12, Jack McCoskey, new patron, Litmus Zest, Martine Hecker-Martinez, Matt Gray, McKay Ransom, Oliver, Sam Myers, Sky Likowski, and Zach Verstott.
At Green Line tier, there are 2 different Green Lines in Denver, so we'll say those
Fucking
2.
hell.
Benjamin Wood, Joshua S. Horvath, and Capil.
Real Christmas tree over here.
I think the Front Range is actually going to make a good Patreon episode.
Yeah, you should plan that. I'm excited. There's a lot to talk about there.
That'd be good.
Oh,
and make sure to send hate from a mile high. So,
Did we talk about
Yeah.
busing in Denver part 1, or did we just talk about it in the Utah bus episode?
We talked about it in the Utah bus episode.
I was figuring maybe you could put a little addendum if you think there's more to say. If not, then I think we're set.
I thought we were pretty set.
Sounds good.
I should say a lot of this episode, sort of my interest in this episode and sort of the way I've been thinking about this episode, has a lot to do with the Colorado Public Radio podcast miniseries, which is called Ghost Train. It's a 4-part series. It's about 2 hours, and it discusses the whole thing of FasTracks from kind of a more like personalized perspective. So I would
Interesting.
definitely give that a listen to all of our listeners, and also, give you credit give them credit, because it is it has been important to the development of this podcast.
see, I'll listen to that. I
That's
love a
cool.
good public radio story.
Yeah,
You will
yeah.
probably like it. It's very good. So,
If Sophie can have 2 podcasts, so can you, listeners. Maybe even more.
Isn't it 3 now?
4.
No, I don't think that counts as a podcast.
5, 6,
Okay.
7, 8,
2 podcasts and another
9.
project.
And a YouTube channel,
10.
sure.
11.
Yeah.
Have I
At least
got
one
there
a
yet?
year.
I kind of have been gaining 1 project a year. This is becoming unmanageable at a quick rate.
Uh,
So I guess it's a linear instead of exponential accumulation, but you know.
Well, that's good news at least.
I should hope so.